Hello, this is Tim Law with Planet Forward Coaching. Special guest today, Phil Myers with the outstanding Wisehaven Tennis Center. He's going to answer a few questions for us regarding, how everything's going. So, Phil, how are you today?
Oh, great, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Sure, sure. Well, first question, without hesitation, do you have a comprehensive development plan for your junior clinics?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the most important things to have, when you're trying to get some traction with a program like this. It's not just kind of one of those situations where, your child will show up to the club and we'll just kind of throw them out there on the court and they'll just hit balls. It's usually it is progress based. We don't really believe in testing per se.
Hmm.
Just because some kids are better test takers than others. I mean, anybody who's been in the education industry knows that. Not everybody tests well. So, we don't like to put that pressure on them, but we do like them to display over time that they can comprehend, you know, the, uh, the goals that we put out in front of them and are able to execute, said skills before they can move on to the next level.
Sure, sure. And what is your recommendation for a training schedule for a junior tennis player?
Well, see, that all depends on how new they are to the industry. I mean, so if they're coming in, they're just starting out. We start them out a little lighter. Okay, we don't want them on the court too much because we're very mindful of too much of a good thing can turn into a bad thing very quickly. Um, so we try not to have we try to avoid that the B word, the burnout word, as much as possible. It's a very important thing for our young athletes to be aware of what that can do to you mentally as well as physically. And we strike a pretty good balance with it at the club. So usually if somebody's just starting out, we'll say, okay, maybe try total beginner, maybe try a few lessons with one of our pros, and then we'll transition you into doing like maybe one clinic a week. um, and you'll start out, you'll do, you can do a lesson in a clinic. That'll move you along pretty well. You'll progress pretty quickly. And then, from there, we'll get a little more serious once the kids are capable of actually playing, points and playing matches. We'll say, okay, let's do, one lesson, one clinic, and, a league. And we'll have them play a singles match once a week as well. So on up the ladder until we get to our serious tournament players where we have them, some of those kids are doing two lessons a week, doing two clinics a week, and then also playing matches and playing tournaments on the weekend.
Mhm.
So there's it's not right for everybody. We have to, it's our job to figure out what's right for a specific individual, on a case by case basis.
Sure, sure. No, it makes total sense. Obviously they say, tennis is a lifetime sport, as you already know. Is it possible for somebody, let's say in their 40s and 50s or even older, to that may or may not have been a good athlete themselves to become a pretty good tennis player?
Yeah. So I've had several students that have started playing tennis in their 40s,
Hmm.
total beginners and with no athletic experience. In fact, one of the ladies that most recently that I've taught, she was a cheerleader in high school, and that's the only experience that she had with any type of athletics, leading up to this point. And she really wanted to get into tennis. And so in the last 4 years that we've worked together, she's gone from, a total beginner, like 2.5 is the lowest level that you can compete in adult leagues in USTA.
Hmm.
And so she was even below that. She was probably about a 2.0.
Hmm.
And she's now a 3.5 and a pretty
Wow.
decent one in four
Wow.
years. Now that's, combination of a few things. I'm not saying that that's me. That's mostly her and her, her drive to, improve. And, the mindset, the will of the player has to be, equal or greater than to their skill level. So that's ultimately what determines how good of a player you're going to be in a lot of cases.
Sure, sure. Well, and I'll tell you that she would be a good one to do an interview with, Phil, if you ever wanted to mention it to her. Certainly be willing to, because somebody like that is very inspirational. And if she was open to it, that would be great to talk to her rather than out her on air right now. We don't want to do that to
Exactly.
her.
There's a reason I didn't mention her name,
Yeah,
because I don't want to throw her under the bus and
right.
in public like that. But yeah, she's done really well, and she deserves where she's at now because she really worked for it.
Sure, sure. Well, as I said, if she'd be open to, doing an interview, I'd love to talk to her about her, her steps and everything she's done. My next
I
question for you, Phil, is what is it? When is it time for my child to move up to the next level of classes?
So that's a common question that we get, and we have some parents that are a little pushier than others as well. So
Shocking, shocking.
yeah, just like anything else, it's like we deal with a variety of personalities and a variety of, you know, motivational levels amongst parents. Some of the kids really are there, kind of at the urging of their parents, and they don't necessarily want to be there themselves, or at least maybe not be there in the capacity that they are there.
Hmm.
Um, but in this case, we don't even, we personally, we don't like to use the phrase "move up, move down." Um, the thing that we like to say is, is your child at the appropriate level?
Hmm.
Or when are we going to move them to the appropriate level? And that's kind of like I said, we don't test. It's not one of those things. It's, we have a list of competencies, of skills that the kids need to be able to accomplish before they move to the next level on the chain for their development.
Hmm.
um so yeah, we really I don't like to put anybody beneath anybody else on our ladder. It's not really like an up and down ladder. It's more of a, it's more of a, everybody's just at different parts of the developmental journey. You know, that doesn't make one player better than another one just because they're further along on the journey than somebody else
Hmm.
is. You know, um, so yeah, we have to. It's a tough balance to strike because we like to challenge the kids, but at the same time, it's very hard to get that message across to a lot of the parents that, look, if I'm constantly moving your child up and challenging them, then I am constantly putting someone else's child who is further along on the journey. They might be, they're now playing with somebody who isn't challenging them. So you have to look at it in those terms. It's like, yeah, this might benefit your child, but it's not benefiting the other kids that they're hitting with at that time.
Sure, sure.
Uh,
No, makes total sense. Obviously,
yes.
everybody has a certain budget to work with, Phil, and everything.
Mhm.
How could somebody actually maximize the child's time on the court, with the, parental budget?
So that's pretty simple, Tim. We understand that not everybody has the budget to work with private lessons, to do the things that we want to do. But in terms of like you maximizing the schedule, or we're like, okay, do a lesson, do a clinic, do a league. But if you're going to do one thing, you should really do one of our, like, do a whole session of our junior clinics, because the perk that comes along with signing up for that is that the kids get free walk on court time.
Hmm.
So what happens is they still get the instruction at clinic, but they could come any other day of the week and call us up the same day. So, like, say it's a Monday morning, they call us up and say, "Hey, do you have any courts later this evening? That I could come on and hit with one of my teammates."
Hmm.
And we're like, "Yeah, it's there." So we book that at no charge to the student, and then they can come in and get extra practice time during the winter when, it's really indoor court times at a premium at that time. But we believe that, if at that point, the day of, if we don't have the court booked, then it shouldn't go to waste. Somebody should be using it.
Sure, sure. Well, Phil, this has been great, and actually a big shout out to you and your team, because my northeastern kids have all benefited tremendously from Wisehaven. You're very flexible, whether it's individual lessons, group lessons, that type of thing, and very, very much appreciate it. And it's really shown on how much they've actually improved, and they're only going to get better. So I really applaud you for that, as well as your staff. You guys done a great job.
Thanks very much for that, Tim. But you know as well as I do, if the kids are motivated, they're always going to get better. So I mean, they're just, all those kids are real hungry to get better, and that's what makes the real difference, and that's why they get so much better so quickly.
Sure, sure. Well, Phil, this has been wonderful. Can you hang for a minute afterwards here?
Hmm. Yep.
Great. Thank you so much.